morning, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. We called yesterday, they got the seed potatoes in, so we're going to make a trip into town. Here we are at the feed store now, getting our seed potatoes here. We've picked up 30 pounds. We feel like the time we cut them up that's going to be enough to do everything we need to do with on the homes. Okay, here we are in the cellar. We're going here getting our Irish potatoes out that we've had in here this year. We're going to be taking them up to the house to cut up, to be letting them cure, getting ready to go into the ground for planting. You notice a lot of them's already got a lot of sprouts on them, which is not going to hurt a thing. Just means they'll come up a little bit faster. Okay, here we are back in the house. We've just went to our root cellar and went through our potato stock. We realized we've got an issue here that it's a learning issue. That's what you want to have on your homestead. You want it to always be about learning. Wanda and I are just two people living in a house. We planted potatoes last year. We thought we had enough to make it through the whole year, back until they produced again where we could dig them out of the ground. But we realized we made some mistakes in our calculating. Right here, this is all the sweet potatoes we have left out of what we planted last year. So it tells me that this year we're going to have to plant more sweet potatoes than what we planted last year. Same thing with the Irish potatoes. We got in there this morning and went to start getting our potatoes out to start cutting up to cure so we can put them in the ground in a couple of weeks. We realized we only had about 8 pounds of potatoes left in the cellar. That is not enough for me and Wanda. Last year, the two of us planted 20 pounds of Irish potatoes. We harvested them in May, and we just this past week ran out of Irish potatoes. So it tells me that we're going to have to up our game. So we went to town, as you see in the video. We went ahead and bought 30 pounds this year, plus the additional 8 pounds that we have from our cellar, which is going to put us about 38 pounds of potatoes putting in the ground. And we're going to see if this year, if 38 to 40 pounds is the magic number for two people eating potatoes on a regular basis or not. It's all about a learning experience, because we keep getting asked the questions, how do I know how much to plant? Well, for two of us, living off our homestead, it looks like it's going to be, we're going to try 40 pounds this year, 38 to 40 pounds of Irish potatoes this year. The sweet potatoes, we're going to have to up our game on them. We planted 100 slips last year. I think we're going to probably try to go with 200 slips this year and see if that might give us enough sweet potatoes to make it through the year. Now that we bring our potatoes in the house here, we put our potatoes underneath the cabinet down here. We take a cardboard box. We put a little DE around the bottom of it here, because roaches, even everybody's going to have a roach in the house sooner or later, the old wood roaches. We put a little DE around the bottom of them. We take our sweet potatoes and we just kind of lay them in this box up under the cabinet here. And once we do that, we can close the door, and it keeps them in a cool, dark place underneath our cabinet here. They're not bad about sprouting. It makes them last a little bit longer. You don't want your potatoes out in the direct sunlight, because if you do, they don't last any time. They'll start sprouting almost immediately, especially if they're warm. Alright, we're going to take you in just a minute and show you the cutting up of the Irish potatoes and what we do with them. Okay, here we are cutting up our Irish potatoes. We've already started, got most of them done here, but we want to kind of show you, like I said, we ran out of our own Irish potatoes, so we had to go buy them at the store. The seed potato company shipped seed potatoes in. This is what they look like, the big potatoes. And they have individual eyes on them, and it's maybe a little bit difficult to see all these eyes, but usually what I do is I like to put one eye, sometimes two per cut. We cut these things off, and you don't want to cut them too thin. You want to make sure that there's a lot of meat left on there with that eye. because as these potatoes cure, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a lot of water in this potato. Potatoes are predominantly mostly water. I forget the percentage. I think it's like 80% water. And what we want to do is, these potatoes are loaded with sugars and starches, and these starches will actually turn to sugar that's in this potato. And they'll crystallize and they'll seal over and they'll do what's called healing. And what this does is, if you put this potato in the ground right now, it will rot because it's not healed. What we want to happen is, we want all this to seal over and have a dry skin on it, just like this outside skin is, so that when we plant it, it doesn't rot. Now what we'll do is, we'll probably let ours cure for probably 2 weeks here in the house before we actually go out to plant them, to make sure that they're cured real well. And you'll also notice while I'm cutting these potatoes, these potatoes are so large that these big old chunks that'll be out in the middle of them, we put them in a bucket here. Rather than throw this away, we'll take this and put it in a pot and boil it. And we'll take these out and feed them to our pigs, because they love these Irish potatoes. And you'll notice that we're putting these Irish potatoes in box tops. So you can go to any convenience store where they sell beer or Gatorade or anything like that, and ask them for their box tops or box bottoms, and they'll just give them to you. We pick blueberries in them every year. You bring them home, we'll cut these Irish potatoes up in them. And there's one that shows you there how they look in these box tops. What we want to do is, every day as these things are drying, they will actually stick together, because as the starches turn to sugar, they get sticky. And we'll come in here and we'll take our hands and we'll just roll these things around like this every day and pull them apart to make sure that they don't stick together and begin to rot. Now, these are some that we took out of our cellar here. As you can see, this is what the eyes actually look like when they begin to start sprouting. And maybe you can get a little bit better idea when I cut one of these about what I'm talking about. We cut ours in pieces where there's 1 to 2 eyes on each piece. Now, is this the only way to do this? No. A lot of videos you look at will say you can plant the whole potato, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Or you can quarter it, cut it in half, or cut it in 4 pieces and plant it. There's nothing wrong with that. But here on the farm, we don't want to waste anything. We cut ours into pieces about 1 to 1.5 inch square chunks, and making sure there's at least 1 or 2 eyes on each piece, so that whenever we get ready to put them in the ground, we're almost guaranteed that they're going to come up. And by letting these Irish potatoes sit out and cure like this, in the house here where the temperature stays between 65 and 70 degrees, these things will actually, the eyes will begin to form on them. So that makes it even a little bit better when you go to put them in the ground. At least they're already starting to grow. And just a little heads up, I use a pocket knife when I'm doing this, but let me tell you something. When you're using a pocket knife, the starch off of the potatoes gets on your pocket knife blade and gets down inside your pocket knife. And if you don't wash it out and re-oil it, as soon as you get through with it, that starch turns into sugar, and it will actually begin to rust the blades on your knife, and your blade won't even open and shut hardly, because it'll just freeze up on you. So when you get through, be sure and put your little 3M oil on your pocket knife if you use a pocket knife. But if you use a fixed blade knife, then it's not really a problem. I hope this information's been valuable to you. This is what we do on our homestead, and by no means is it the only way to do it. You do whatever works for you. This just seems to be what works for us here on our homestead. We'd like for you to like, share, and subscribe if you've enjoyed what you see here. Thank you from Deep South Homestead.